Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about the role of memory in our addictions and how often when we're in the process of recovery, we can often be tormented by our memories. And the idea for this sort of video came today, really, as I was laying down and doing a yoga nidra, a sleeping meditation, just focusing on relaxing my body and allowing whatever to come. And sure enough, what happened in today's meditation was a memory of my past life within this life as someone very addicted to substances. And I was recalling to my mind the raw, visceral experience of what that was like, of chasing, pursuing, and indulging myself in sensory pleasure. And that entire realm of experience. And obviously it was strange, it was quite difficult. It sort of exposed me to have these sorts of memories come flooding back, memories which I haven't really thought about for a long time. But even in the moment of all of that, all the various emotions and the experiences that were all clustered there, I noticed how in the meditation I was able to witness all of it, to allow it to have the space that it needs. And in that action of acceptance, it naturally dissolved. And I think that's an important thing we all need to have, particularly as we relate to our past self who was making mistakes, who was engaging in self-destructive patterns. We need to find a way to move through the shame that often keeps us trapped and towards the energy of acceptance. Because it's only through the energy of acceptance that we can release this dark muck that stains us. We do not release these sort of things by residing in the low frequency of shame. Shame really keeps us reliving those sorts of cycles of remembering something, feeling yucky about it, and then that yucky feeling sort of, triggers another recalling memory to trigger more of that yucky sort of feeling. Shame is a part of the journey. But shame is not the final destination. Shame is something that we have to understand and delve into. Shame is a message. Like all of our negative emotions, they are messages, and we should not ignore them. We should listen to what they are saying. And the emotion of shame, it points us to a discrepancy, a difference between the ideals of our higher self and the reality, and that distance between what actually happened and what we would have liked to have happened, the distance between that rift, it creates the energy of shame. We feel we have let ourselves down, we have let the people around us down, we have not lived up to who we wish to be, and that feeling I think many people experience. And shame, of course, is the opposite polarity of acceptance. When we have acceptance, that is the first motion towards releasing and dissipating shame. I can look at myself in the past, and I can look at myself with empathy and understanding. And yes, there is a residue of shame, but there is a higher understanding that I needed to have gone through these sorts of things, these sort of initiations of consciousness. And I think we are all flawed. All of us human beings, it is our nature to be imperfect. And I think the idealization of perfection, of moral perfection, can be this really strong prison for many people. It can lead people to a life where they They take everything so seriously, and they take themselves so excessively seriously, and they're very judgmental. And they have a certain expectation of what a good life is, and if anyone is not adhering to that expectation, then they reject them. You know, reality is a composite of both good and evil. You know, I do not wish to associate myself with the so-called spiritual people who will look at reality and consider it all just love and light. And they ignore all the darkness and all the muck and all the density and all the evil that is obviously present if you conjure up the courage to look. And I think people who have been through addiction and come out the other side of it, they have seen within themselves these forces, these dark forces of habit and pleasure seeking and hedonism that can totally corrupt your sense of meaning. They've had this initiation through the lesser angels of our nature, the demons within us, perhaps. And as a result of that, they can see very clearly what is going on. And that pain is a powerful teacher for them. And I've made a video on this in the past, and I've spoken about it at length about how pain is a teacher. And we can learn as much from our unpleasant sensations as we do from our pleasant sensations. You know, the ultimate path to liberation is being able to witness and observe and accept all of it. And to tie this into the recovery of addiction, a central aspect, a fundamental aspect of it is being able to witness, to observe and understand unpleasant sensations. Because when we are in this state of addiction, we are in this habitual loop of avoiding unpleasant sensations in preference for strongly blissful, pleasurable sensations. We are rejecting the bad and we're chasing oh so desperately towards the good. But this makes us a slave, ultimately. We become a slave to our addiction. We become addicted to this feeling, and eventually, because of hedonic adaptation, our pleasure, pain, balance sort of finding a new equilibrium over time as we repeatedly stimulate pleasurable sensations. Eventually, the addiction stops serving us. It stops giving us the high that we yearn for. So we have to up the dose. We have to take more. We have to gravitate towards newer things. This constant chase of newer and greater pleasures. And we're trying to find a sense of wholeness within through external sensations. And anyone who has studied or been initiated into any sort of spiritual or yogic path, they will realize that this yearning for sensory pleasures will keep you forever a prisoner to them. Our transcendence, our development of realization is not to be found through external sensory pleasures. It will just keep you distracted and akin to an animal. You will not be exercising your higher rational or intellectual spiritual faculties. You will just be this Epicurean, to use the Greek philosophical school. Epicureans thought that the highest value in life was pleasure and the pursuit of pleasure. They thought that feeling good was enough. But any addict knows that feeling good and reducing the value of life purely to that, it renders you into this animal who just lusts for more pleasure. and your lust for pleasure consumes you so intensely that you sacrifice everything into that. With my certain substance addictions, I was so hooked on the pursuit and the gratification of this feeling that I was damaging my brain, I was damaging my heart, I was damaging my body. I was watching myself in real time wither away, my life force, my vitality. I was no longer able to think. I was almost witnessing myself regressing. Like my sense of humor was becoming more juvenile as I was doing more drugs, and my attention span, my ability to focus, I was becoming more unhinged. I was witnessing myself go through the stage of development, becoming more and more darker, And I was able to capture all of this and see all of it because even throughout all the addiction, I had a high degree of awareness, at a high degree of understanding, and though, of course, not enough awareness to be able to actually stop what I was doing. And this is the paradox, really, of, many people who go through addictions, is that, simply being intelligent can also not really protect you. Part of my efforts to try and understand addiction was to try and heal in the moment, to try and understand what I was doing. I used to read lots of books about addiction even before I got very, very addicted, because perhaps I noticed this sort of tendency within myself. But yeah, I think I'll sort of conclude there. Until next time, I hope that's been useful and insightful, everyone. I'll see you next time. Adios.